let's start with COVID-19. No, there's a lot going on in the world, guys, but another thing that is still going on in the world is COVID-19. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, I don't know if you guys have seen the news, but the numbers are not trending in a super positive way right now in Texas. So everybody, please be safe. Wash your hands. Practice social distancing. Wear a mask. Just be smart. Be smart. Be smart. Okay? Be smart. Be safe. But on Monday's June 8th, and June 8th is a big day because that is the day that the UIL is going to allow Texas high school football teams, and Texas, I should say, UIL programs to start having strength and conditioning workouts. And you will remember we talked about this about a week ago, about or 2 weeks ago, about the guidelines that they laid out, that they said, okay, we need you to do this, we need you to do that. And the interesting thing about the guidelines is that they said, here is the minimum that you need to do, okay? And here are the restrictions that you have in place as far as practicing social distancing, as far as there's a limit to the number of students you can have per coach there, as far as, there's a limit to how many kids you can have in the weight room, things like that. They gave them this big list of restrictions and then just kind of patted them on the butt and said, now, figure it out.
Here you go.
Figure it out with your specific circumstances, because not every high school football team has the same facilities. Not every high school football team has the same assets. Not every Texas high football team has the same number of kids or coaches.
Which, personally, I think was the absolute right way to do that, because you can't compare an Allen facility to McLean. Like, it's just not possible. That's how they needed to do it.
Right. And as a result, that's I think it was in many ways the only way to do it. And the UIL, you got to remember that, like, while I think we think of the UIL as being the governing body of Spring Westfield and of Lubbock Coronado, these big schools, it's also the governing body of Blum and everything in between. And so they have to do broad guidelines and then say, you need to enact these. But they were, I thought, pretty stringent and robust guidelines. So now what you've seen is a number of schools, a number of coaches that have put out, and programs have put out their protocols for how they're going to start on Monday. And some of these, obviously, I've mentioned this before, that I think that, the UIL said, all right, coaches, we're going to let you do this. And the coaches, I think, have taken that very personally and said, all right, it is now up to us to make sure everybody stays safe and we do this right. Because otherwise, I'm not trying to do scare tactics here, but if this goes poorly, we're probably not having football in the fall. I'm not trying to be scary. I'm trying to be realistic. That if suddenly a ton of kids start getting sick or a ton of coaches start getting sick, then football in the fall becomes a lot less likely. Okay? So I think coaches and players are taking this seriously, and they're going through and they're putting together protocols to make sure that they are not only in line with what the UI requires, but also using common sense and saying we're going to be as smart as possible.
I think a big tool that they're using too, like I saw Coach Gilbert out of Lancaster tweeted out, they're doing Zoom calls either tonight or Friday night to get everybody on board and, okay, here's exactly how we're rolling out. So then there's no confusion when they show up Monday morning and go, well, what are we supposed to be doing?
Right. And so here are a few things that I've noticed in reading about a handful of these protocols. One of them is, so the UIL basically said that indoor facilities like weight rooms can be full up to 25% capacity. They can be full up to 25% capacity. One thing they didn't mention is, they said disinfect and clean regularly. What I have seen has been the norm is, in reading these, they're saying after every use, that piece of equipment's getting cleaned. So what you're saying is, if Pickle goes up there and she pumps the bar, with
300
three bills,
on it.
3 bills, she pounds out 90 reps real quick.
Yeah.
With the cannons, she does that. Then right after she gets up, we're disinfecting that bench. We're disinfecting that bench. We're disinfecting that bar. Another thing that I've seen a lot of is, for example, if I am spotting you, right? So, I mean, you can throw up 300 pounds,
easy.
but that 87th rep is going to be tougher, right?
Yes.
And you need a spotter. So I'm spotting you. What I've seen from a lot of coaches is requiring those guys to have masks. Requiring, like, if you're not working out, if you're just spotting, because for those who have ever, if you think about spotting squats, right? You're usually right down underneath them, and you're squatting with them so that you can catch them if they need it. That is a very close contact type thing.
Well, and I think about bench press too. Is most of the time they're leaning over you.
You're
so
leaning
when you're
over, and you've got the bar.
and,
Exactly. So they are requiring. What I've seen a lot of is coaches requiring those spotters to have masks. What's interesting, I think, what you're seeing is the normal. So, when people think about social distancing, they think about 6 feet. That's been the standard, right? 6 feet is the standard. If you're exercising, like if you are, which I think makes sense, if you're breathing heavy, if you're, spitting, if you're, sweating, things like that, requiring a 10-foot distance when exercising. You're seeing small groups saying, okay, well, you're going to put 3 people together, 4 people together. You guys are going to work out together. You have to stay 10 feet away from everyone else, right? And another thing that I've seen is, and I think this is something that's really, and I don't know if I want to go down this path. It's something that I think nobody thinks about. People are going to have to use the John, right? People are going to have to use the bathroom. That's a place where things can get crowded, right? And easily they can get crowded in there. And it's very, by nature of the way the bathrooms are, especially at public schools, those are not conducive to social distancing. And so what I've seen a lot of coaches say is it's 1 in, 1 out on bathrooms, right? It is. You go in, you do your business, you come back out. And frankly, my wife is a 5th grade teacher. We've had conversations about what school can and could look like in the fall. And that's going to be something that I think is going to be pretty standard, I think, across all walks of life for a while, is the idea of 1 in, 1 out in bathrooms, simply because that's a place where it is a lot harder to socially distance.
Right.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so that's one thing that I think is really interesting. Those are things that I've noticed. I think all those, by the way, they are not looking for my stamp of approval, but I think all those are pretty prudent and smart.
Yeah.
I think those all make a lot of sense to me.
I agree too.
That to keep kids safe and keep players safe. But what you're seeing, as you mentioned, Pickle, you're seeing a lot of Zoom calls, right? Coach Gilbert's going to do, with Lancaster's going to do a Zoom call. In the DFW Metroplex, Mesquite ISD put out a video the other day. About their protocols, and it's been kind of going across social media platforms. I think it's really, really well done, and I think it actually speaks to what has been kind of the standard for these coaches to figure out exactly how to do it. Let's take a look at what Mesquite ISD put together.
If we want to play sports, it's up to us to do our part to stop the spread of COVID-19.
Things are changing, and we have to change too.
Protect your teammates, your coaches, and yourself. Here's how.
First thing, be ready to go. Wash your hands before leaving the house. Show up in your own workout clothes with your own water bottle and your own towel.
Every day we walk into the field house, a coach will check our temperature. If we're 100 degrees or higher, we'll be sent to the athletic trainer.
All right, you're good. Have a good workout.
Follow social distancing rules when you're going in and when you leave.
Stay at least 6 feet away from your teammates.
At every entrance, we'll be assigned with these questions. If you answer yes to any of them, you'll need to go see the athletic trainer.
Answer honestly. This isn't about you. It's about keeping your teammates, coaches, and family safe.
If every answer is no, you're good.
Hand sanitizer is our new best friend. Do it often and do it right. Same thing goes for wash your hands. Make sure you rub your hands all the way to your wrist. Get in between the fingers and scrub those fingertips too. When you use hand sanitizer, don't stop rubbing until your hands are dry.
When you get to the weight room, get some hand sanitizer as you're walking in. You'll grab some gloves and a mask, or you can bring your own.
The first thing we gotta do is wipe down the station, the bench, the bars, and the weights.
If you're lifting, go hard and get stronger.
If you're spotting, wear a mask every time.
Sanchez, get your mask on.
My bad, coach.
Keep your gloves on for the entire workout.
When you're done with the workout, wipe everything down.
As you're walking out, drop your mask and gloves into the buckets. They'll be washed and ready for tomorrow, then hit the hand sanitizer again.
When it's time to go, you gotta go home. You can't go to the locker room anyway.
If we want to play our sport again and keep playing, These are the things that we have to do.
Every day.
Every day.
How bad do you want it?
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 I think that's awesome. I think that's superb. And I love the message there at the end of saying, how bad do you want it? That this isn't optional.
No.
You know, this has a direct impact on what sports are going to look like going forward. That if you want this to happen in the fall, then you need to make sure that we're doing these things to make sure everybody's safe. I thought that was really, really well put together and a nice digestible 2 minutes you can watch and you understand what's expected of you. I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean the visual aspect of it just makes it great. But I said this while we were sitting here is I loved the line when they said this is not about you. This is about keeping family members and teammates and coaches and everyone safe. And so I think that that's the biggest thing that we've talked about multiple times is the fact that there's such a bigger thing here. It's do you want football to happen? Do you want your family members to stay safe? And I think that did the perfect thing of, look, I don't care if you think that COVID is just a myth or not. Do it out of the kindness for other people.
I thought it was really, really well done by Mesquite ISD, and I thought that was really prudent and something that I think is going to be, you know, it's one of those standards. I think that that's what you're going to see from programs around the state and as we try to kind of creep back open here and get football going again here in the state of Texas. So I thought that was really cool.